Welcome to Wednesday Night Hoops. And welcome to the ACC on ESPN. The Clemson Tigers home away from home is the Secours Wellness Arena here in Greenville, where tonight number 9 Duke is in town to meet Clemson. And the Blue Devils have won 12 of their last 13. They have an ACC Player of the Year candidate and recently named Top 25 Midseason Wooden Award candidate Grayson Allen. He is number 2 in the ACC in scoring at 20.5 points per game. Bob Wischusen alongside LaFonso Ellis and Fonz. The partner in crime for Grayson Allen is Brandon Ingram, who has really kicked his game to a different level over the last 9 for Duke.
So gifted, can shoot the 3-ball, beat you off the bounce, has excellent anticipation skills, and a wonderful finisher in transition.
Last week, we had an opportunity to call Louisville against NC State. Before the game, we met with Rick Pitino. He said, you know, this is like the old Big East days where 11 out of 16 teams would go to the tournament. There are no nights off in this conference, and Louisville was the latest victim of Clemson, as Rick Pitino's team found that out. Clemson, under head coach Brad Brownell, has now won 3 in a row, and they are looking for back-to-back wins over ranked schools for the first time since 1989.
Much better shooting team than they've been in the last 7 years.
And Mike Krzyzewski, he has done a wonderful job, as he normally does, replacing all that was lost last year with players this year that last season were part-time players for him. Grayson Allen, Matt Jones, Marshall Plumlee. They were bit players off the bench, but they're playing major roles this year.
Yeah, with Emil Jefferson out with that injury, Brandon Ingram has slid down to the 4 and has done a fabulous job from that position. Match-up nightmare from that spot.
Littlejohn Coliseum being renovated as we speak back on Clemson's campus. So this is where Clemson will play their home games this year. And that's in and out from downtown for Derek Thornton. It goes over to Clemson, according to Pat Driscoll, who's out there with Jamie Luckey and James Breeding. It is a veteran officiating group that we have tonight for an ACC game that really, I think, embodies, Fonz, what the ACC has been about so far this year, and that is the perceived lower-level teams not only putting a scare into the top teams, but oftentimes getting wins.
Virginia Tech, early wins when people looked on the schedule. That's a big shot by Dante Grantham, by the way, folks. He's the guy that got them started against Louisville. He's going to have to make a lot of shots from the perimeter on the offensive end for Clemson tonight.
He's shooting 36% from 3 and starts off by knocking down his first. And that's off the heel for Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, that ball didn't quite come off of his hand properly. Didn't quite catch it. Got to catch it a little bit better and get it off.
Avery Holmes gives one up. Landry Noko with the jump hook, and that's cleared by Plumlee.
It's going to be a nice matchup between Noko and Plumlee on the interior. Both guys, high-energy guys.
Matt Jones had it stripped away. A steal for Jordan Roper. Gives it up. Swooping in his Blossom Game. And Jerron Blossom Game, the leading scorer for Clemson, with his first bucket. And it's a quick 5-point lead for the Tigers.
I love how aggressively Clemson has come out. When they can turn this Duke team over or force them to miss shots, some opportunities in transition will be there. Duke has not defended well in transition this year.
Thornton gives it up to the corner to Grayson Allen. Whips it right back to Thornton. Shot clock to 5. Allen with the reverse, and that gets Duke on the board. Grayson Allen, again, averaging 20.5 per game.
That's the major concern tonight for Brad Brownell's team, is they want to contend him and keep him out of the painted area. A little breakdown defensively there for Clemson.
Noko muscles one up, in and out. Another rebound for Plumlee.
That's 2 in a row now where he's got deep post position and not able to deliver.
Thornton with a spin move, blocked by Noko. Blossom Game. Looked for Noko on the cut, but Plumlee was there.
Yeah, I thought Blossom Game should have taken that shot. He would have had Noko in proper rebounding position. Missed an opportunity there in transition.
Shot clock down to 8 for Clemson. In the corner, it's Avery Holmes. Shot clock at 4. He'll try a 3. And the rebound uncontested to Derek Thornton.
This is something that Clemson worked on hard today in shoot-around, is not only trying to protect the paint, you talk about the second-best shot-blocking team in ACC play, the Clemson Tigers.
I guess that would be protecting the paint.
Absolutely. They're doing a great job of coming over Noko, and I love to get guards laying on the offensive player because it puts you in perfect position to be able to go and block shots. Jerron Blossomgame, the second highest shot blocker on this team at 6'7".
Ingram for three, and that's his first bucket.
How versatile is this guy? I mean, at 6'9", can put it down, get to the rim, and if you step off of him, he can knock down a three. Very hard to guard for most fours in the conference.
Blossomgame had it poked away, taken away by Matt Jones. A clean steal for the junior.
Matt Jones is the best perimeter defender on this Duke team. When Blossomgame catches that basketball, he's got to make a quick move to the rack.
Thornton for three. Yes. The first 5 scored by Clemson. The last 8 scored by Duke.
Brad Brownells is so concerned about Grayson Allen's ability to shoot the three and put it down. They're willing to give Derek Thornton those kind of shots. See how long it's taking him to make his move down there?
And he comes up short. Blossomgame maybe second-guessing himself a bit in the post as a steal on one trip and a bad miss on the next.
Nice
backdoor cut to Allen. Gives it up to Plumlee. Beautiful basketball by Duke.
And we talked about the dribble penetration. The dribble penetration forces guys to come over and help, and this is an exceptional passing team, Duke. You got to make sure that you're getting proper rotations on the weak side.
Foul called on Jones underneath, but ball movement by the Blue Devils results in a high percentage basket.
Marshall Plumlee has been terrific at attacking the rack, sending it in there.
That's a look inside Littlejohn Coliseum as the renovations are well underway, as they're going to be adding a big scoreboard, a club level as well. But because those renovations are going on at Littlejohn Coliseum, we are here in Greenville. A little under 45-minute drive, 31 miles down the road at the Secours Wellness Arena. This is where Clemson will play all of their home games for this season. Next year it should be a special place. It will be a smaller, even more intimate, but maybe louder atmosphere at Littlejohn next season when Clemson goes back into their home building. And this amount of crowd noise that we have so far tonight, even with Duke here, it's not quite the home court advantage that Clemson would enjoy if they were on their own campus.
Yeah, Littlejohn Coliseum, the people are literally right over you. And to your point, that is a loud place to play. Going to be enhanced with a $63 million infusion.
Shot clock under 10 once again for Clemson. Leaning in and knocking down a long two is Jordan Roper. Or check that, Holmes.
Yeah, Marshall Plumlee is not going to come out and big-time hedge on those ball screens, so the guards coming off have to be able to make shots once they get separation. That was nicely done there on the offensive end for Clemson.
Moving screen set.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things where, as a big, you're going, guards, be still. Let me get over there and get set up first. Marshall Plumlee didn't get there early enough, but the guards have to recognize that and not come off that screen too early. The referees are looking for those calls this year when the bigs are over there trying to set ball screens and they're not completely set. That was a good call by the official.
That first foul called on Plumlee, and now in the corner, it's Blossomgame. He'll try a three, and that's way off the mark.
This offense is not designed to go one-on-one. They got to get that ball moving from side to side and look to attack when that ball's reversed.
Thornton gives it up to Noko. Numbers the other way for Clemson. Third turnover for Duke. And giving it right back is Noko. Or check that, Jete, as he shuffled his feet. Well, maybe the court's a little slippery. There's ice underneath. Why? Because we are in the home of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, which is now officially my favorite nickname of all time. This is the ECHL Swamp Rabbits home, as they are a minor league affiliate of the New York Rangers. So if you're in town tomorrow night, as a matter of fact, they are playing a home game.
Just gotta love the name Swamp Rabbits.
It's the Alaska Aces and the Greenville Swamp Rabbits tomorrow night in ECHL action. And it looks a little like this. Grayson Allen mixing it up on the floor, as that will be a held ball. The possession arrow will give it over to Clemson, as the Tigers down by 3 have it back.
I'd love to see two competitors getting after it on the floor there. Grayson Allen, ball still bouncing around, gives up his body and ties that one up. There's no lack of toughness there at number 3 in black.
Grantham pulls up at the elbow. That line drive shot won't go. Ingram the rebound.
Great story for Clemson here earlier. They've gotten some really good looks, 2 feet in the paint. They got some wide open jump shots and have not been able to knock them down.
Plumlee finds Grayson Allen for 3. It was 5-0 Clemson to start the game. A 13-2 Duke run ever since.
One of the goals of this game for Brad Brownell was to neutralize the impact of number 3 in black, Grayson Allen. They have not done that here early.
Gabe DeVoe pulls up, knocks it down. That's his first basket.
Gabe DeVoe at 6'3", 205. When he sees any of those smaller guards from Duke running at him, he'll be able to put it on the deck and try to get to the rim. That was a nice pull-up, Jay. Good read by him.
The freshman Luke Kennard off the bench, bottoming out of 3. What a weapon he has been in double figures in 6 of Duke's last 7 games, as he was not only a Parade National Player of the Year out of high school last year, a McDonald's All-American, but the Gatorade Ohio Player of the Year back-to-back seasons.
The best pure shooter on this Duke team.
DeVoe with an answer.
How huge is that? Coming in this game, he was 3 of 6 from the three-point line over the last 2 games, and he's gotten off to a hot start here tonight as well, and Clemson needs those perimeter jump shots to go down.
Allen fouled by Avery Holmes, so we'll step aside for just a moment. When we come back, we'll take a look at what tonight represents, but the theme that has been there all season long in the ACC. Tremendous performances, and the depth of this conference might be unrivaled in college basketball. We'll explain when we get back. Bob Wischusen and LaFonso Ellis back here in Greenville. Clemson down by 4 to Duke. We were talking last week about our visit with Rick Pitino, and he mentioned that he thinks that now, with Louisville in the ACC, it's like being back in the old Big East, when there were 16 teams and 11 would go to the NCAA tournament, that there are no nights off, and that the depth of this conference might be unrivaled. We should take a look at the BPI for the ACC. Do you agree? Is this the deepest conference in college basketball?
Without a doubt. You're talking about some teams early, Bob, where you kind of in the past thought you can actually get some wins against. Clemson off to a 3-1 start. Virginia Tech, lower echelon team, off to a terrific start at 2-1. And so there are no easy wins anywhere on this schedule, and so even the upper echelon teams are going to have to make sure they're prepared and focused, or they'll take an L on the road.
11 teams in the top 80 of our BPI, 14 teams in the top 100. Now, there are 350 teams in Division I, so almost the entire conference for the ACC is in the top, better than third, of college basketball. There really are not nights off in this league, and Kennard slips a pass beautifully down the lane, throwing it down as Marshall Plumlee, and that makes it a 6-point Duke lead. Well, you got a foul called against Clemson, so it'll go back over to Duke.
Marshall does an excellent job on these dribble handoffs and these little ball screens of his of diving hard to the front of the rim. His guards' eyes are always up and looking for him. The weak side has to step over and take the roll guy and force them to make another pass. Otherwise, Marshall Plumlee is going to light them up in the painted area at the rim.
That foul on Landry Noko, his first. Allen thought about a three, drives it instead, high off the window, no good. And the rebound is pulled down by Noko.
And Bob, Clemson was able to get some good stuff off the early push. They're taking it a little too slowly here when they're able to get those long rebounds. They got to get out and push, take advantage of some of the speed and the athleticism that they have on the wings.
Dante Grantham, off balance, bad shot, kept alive by Noko, but it's out of bounds as it hit the end line.
Because now you see, as a result of not pushing it early and trying to catch this Duke team on the heels, every shot has been a tough, contested shot over the last 2 or 3 minutes, which is why it's been so difficult for Clemson to get a good look at the rim.
Is Duke a better defensive team than you expected them to be, especially considering the fact that Emil Jefferson is still out and they have not put a timetable on his return as Ingram knocks down a three to extend the Duke lead?
When you see a young team like a Duke team, they're so good offensively. Typically, young teams kind of are charged defensively by how well they do on the offensive end. I think that is definitely a key to the puzzle, a piece of the puzzle, if you will, for Duke.
DeVoe, mid-range jumper, goes down again. That's 7 off the bench for Gabe DeVoe.
And Clemson needs someone else to step up and make some jump shots right now. Number 20 in white, Roper, is a really good shooter as well, and they got to get Blossom game going on the offensive end.
Kennard was fouled on the drive by Gabe DeVoe. And we've got big conference clashes coming up on Saturday at noon Eastern. We'll begin in the ACC. Cat Barber and the Wolfpack take on the Red Hot Heels, winners of their last 8. And then at 2, Perry Ellis and Kansas trying to bounce back from the loss against West Virginia. They're going to take on TCU. Both games streaming live. Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Some ACC headlines. And boy, is it been a terrific start as Ingram scores again for a North Carolina team that right now, would you say, are they the class of this league?
Oh, without a doubt. They're so deep at every single position and has the deepest and best front line possibly in the country.
A brick tossed up by DeVoe, but Clemson keeps it alive.
Isaiah Hicks comes off the bench and gives them positive minutes, both on the offensive glass. He's scoring in the post and running the floor.
Shot clock winding down to 3. Roper weaves through traffic. That's no good. Ingram taps it, and Thornton ends up with it. Ingram with 5 to shoot, creates some space. And that creation of the space, according to Jamie Luckey, was illegal. That's an offensive foul called on Brandon Ingram, his first.
Brandon Ingram usually makes really good decisions when he's on the drive. He's only a freshman, folks, and he's been really good on the offensive end for Duke. But in a case like that, he's got a 5-inch size advantage. He's just got to raise and shoot it over the top. That was a really nice job moving his feet by Avery Holmes, number 12 in white. Blossom game. That's a foul called on Chase Jeter, who stepped in and is called for the block. Duke is doing a really nice job here early of making everything tough for Jerron Blossom Games, who is Clemson's leading scorer. Anytime he catches the basketball, there's 2 people around him crowding his area, so they're going to have to come up with some additional stuff to get him some good open looks on the offensive end. 4th team foul on Duke. Only 3 fouls so far on Clemson through the first 11.5 minutes. Roper picks up his dribble. Blossom game with the jump hook. Rolls in and out. Bob, how many times have we seen that for Clemson here on the offensive end early in this game? Kennard hits a 3. Red hot shooting from behind the arc for Duke. They missed their first 2, and they have responded
with 6 consecutive made threes to open up a 12-point lead.
Talking about a team that makes 8 threes per game in ACC play.
Another foul called on Jeter in the lane as he was battling with Landry Noko for position. So that's the second on the freshman from Las Vegas. Not much you can do if you're Brad Brownell. If your team forces contested threes and the opposition with a hand in their face keeps on knocking them down. Coming up well short was Holmes. Gets his own miss. Blossom game down the lane. Gives it up to Noko.
And that's what Jerron Blossom game can do because he's drawing so much attention on the offensive end for Duke. Those opportunities to make the extra pass and get some easy opportunities for his teammates will be there. Nicely executed on that possession.
Kennard fades away, knocks down a 2. He's got 8.
I tell you, he's been so patient, Bob, since I saw him early in the season. It's really taking his time and putting it on the floor, not just a three-point shooter. Talked to assistant coach Nate James, and he told me that, look, kid, you're not just a three-point shooter, you're a basketball player, and he's played like that over the last many games.
Another foul called on Jeter. That's his 3rd. So that freshman in foul trouble, but Luke Kennard, red hot.
2-time Mr. Ohio basketball is getting it done here early for Duke.
Chris Hassel with Dan Dockich in studio. SMU looks like it's going to stay perfect, Coach.
Yeah, you could just see they were going to take this game out. We talked about it at halftime, and right there is the key. Throw the ball on the block. They've gotten it to the block, not the middle. It's worked out well.
More to more. It's a 22-point lead over on ESPN News, guys.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. And there are plenty of college basketball storylines that are interesting so far this season. SMU among the group undefeated, but what about the start for Ben Simmons? We talked about him, LaFonso, as being the super freshman coming into this season, and he has lived up to every bit of his advanced ability.
Yeah, and unfortunately he hasn't had a lot of help, and so it hasn't shown up in the win columns, but that kid is dynamic. Excellent rebounder, handles it in transition, and can really attack the rack.
Noko turns it over, so it goes back over to Duke, and now the question, can Clemson get a stop? Duke is shooting 69% from the field. They are 11 of 16, even better from 3 at 6 of 8. They missed their first 2. They've made 6 in a row. Kennard can't make it 7 in a row. So finally, there's a lid on the basket, but it stays with Duke as Kennard pressures Gabe DeVoe, and DeVoe gives it right back.
Bob, Duke started 1 of 5 from the field and since 10 of 12, including 6 threes. And these are those opportunities that you have to get and capitalize on. Again, missed opportunities here in the first half for Clemson on the offensive end and mishandles in the backcourt. Little 2-3 zone here. You'll see Clemson go in and out of a 2-3 zone. They'll show a little 1-3-1 and go in the man as well. They're trying to mix it up a little bit to slow down this high-octane Duke offense.
Back-to-back missed threes as Jones can't hit from the corner, and it goes over to Clemson.
Bob, the only thing about playing, especially a 2-3 zone against this Duke team, you expose yourself to one of their strengths, which is their ability to knock down the 3 ball. So let's see if that continues to be a factor here as we go into halftime.
Holmes leans in, wild shot, but gets the roll. So the lead cut back down to 10 as Holmes now has 4. And it's back to that zone for Clemson. And you're right, it's odd. On the surface, I would be thinking for a team that's red hot from 3 to zone them, it might create even more 3-ball opportunities. As Thornton will drive with the left hand. That won't go. And Noko has the rebound. So what is Brad Brownell hoping for by zoning a team that's shooting lights out from 3?
Just trying to mix it up a little bit and hope that their decision-making is not sharp and they were able to get a corner 3 wide open but missed it there.
Blossom game is fouled by Jones. So Jerron Blossom game to the line. NBA Friday presented by State Farm on ESPN. The T-Wolves are in OKC for a test against the Thunder at 7 Eastern. That begins our doubleheader. And then it is LeBron and Harden. The Eastern Conference leading Cavs take on the Rockets at 9:30. Both games streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app.
You think Kevin Durant, who's going to be a free agent this summer, goes back to OKC, or will we see him wearing some type of LA uniform?
Speaking of KD, as Brandon Ingram checks back in. You were talking about that being a pretty fair comparison, at least where Brandon Ingram is in his development as a player right now and where Kevin Durant was when he was a freshman at Texas.
Well, the versatility, very similar. The ability to shoot the deep ball. They both can handle it, both off rebounds and push it in transition. And what they both do, if they have a smaller guy, they go to the low post. Bigger guy, they take him out on the floor. Two guys who could really put it in the coop.
Shot clock down to 7. Allen gets the screen. Double team. And that cross-court pass intercepted by Roper. Roper gives it up. And there's a hammer for Dante Grantham. And that gets the crowd into the game. Timeout called by Mike Krzyzewski. Dante Grantham throws it down. Off the turnover, and that gets Clemson and the arena alive as we'll return in 30 seconds to Greenville. Shoes and LaFonso Ellis back on Wednesday Night Hoops. And Fonz, turnovers become transition opportunities for Clemson.
Well, and this is something that Clemson has needed, is the ability to take advantage of opportunities in transition. In my opinion, they've been playing at a too slow of a pace. When Roper, Avery, those guys have the basketball, they got to get out and push and take advantage of the athletic wings that they have. It'll create some easier opportunities for Blossom Game as well. He's got to get going here in the first half.
In and out once again is Blossom Game, that time from the free throw line. Ingram for 3. That's a brick. At one point, Duke had made 6 consecutive threes. Now they've missed their last 5 field goal attempts. And that has allowed, with Grantham, red hot shooting from downtown, Clemson to get right back in the game. It's now a 3-point lead for Duke, and it's a 9-0 run for the Tigers.
It's a great example of Duke loading to the basketball, and if you can see over the top, you can skip it over and be able to find open shooters. Nicely done on the offensive end by Clemson.
Ingram left alone. This time he doesn't miss. A deep 2 from just inside the arc.
Yeah, slipped out of that little screen area, and he loves to run to that deep corner. Wow, he can score it in a variety of ways.
13 games in double figures now for Brandon Ingram. Noko. This time he gets the roll on the jump hook. He's got 4.
The spacing for Clemson is really good right now, which doesn't allow Duke to be able to converge to the basketball quickly. Clemson doing a nice job of taking advantage of one-on-one situations inside.
Ingram. How do you stop that?
You yell help. Wow. He's so smooth when he's on the attack, and that's an area of his game that's improved as well, is being able to take that initial bump and still finish at the rim.
Noko, that's his go-to move.
But I was just going to say, they've got something good going with Noko on the interior for the last 2 minutes and 10 seconds of this game. They should continue to throw it inside and force Duke to have to make a change defensively in their scheme.
Again, from the wing. Again, knocking it down is Brandon Ingram. 7 straight points for Duke by Brandon Ingram.
I'd go right back to Noko. He scored the last 2 times that he's had it down on the box.
Pulling up, Avery Holmes created some room, and that was an offensive foul called on Avery Holmes. Back and forth we go here at Clemson. High-scoring first half.
Chris Hassel in the studio. Coming up, Land Rover halftime report. SMU trying to stay perfect. Dan Dockich will be with me in maybe a little flip-flopping on his claim that SMU could go perfect this season. And he'll also talk about Ben Simmons. He's in action coming up 9 p.m. Eastern right here on ESPN2, fellas.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. We still have a minute and a half to go in the first half here between Duke and Clemson. 7 straight points by Brandon Ingram. Takes a one-possession game and pushes it back up to a 6-point lead for Duke. Bob Wischusen here with LaFonso Ellis. And, Fonz, this has been a first half where both teams have shot the ball well. Normally, if you're Clemson, you're home and you're shooting 50% from the field, you would think, we'll take that. But Brad Brownell has seen his team allow Duke to shoot 58% from the field, including 7 of 12 from 3.
Yeah, the ability to drive the basketball, get in the painted area, and draw has created some open opportunities on the weak side as we see a moving screen there.
Called on Ingram. That's his second personal.
And so when you're at home, particularly, you can't allow someone to come into your place and shoot as well as they have. But credit Duke, that's been their ability to attack and move the rock to get easy shots. And Brandon Ingram has been able to consistently attack the rim off the bounce.
That's the 7th first half turnover for Duke. They only average 10 per game. Under 10 to shoot. Nice crossover by Grantham. Way short, though, from 3. And then a cheap foul picked up by Noka. So check that. Sidi Shadeh is called for his first.
They're fortunate there that they're not in the bonus. Clemson has done a really nice job in the first half of guarding without fouling. And so you can absorb one of those and not put Duke, who's a really good free throw shooting team, on the line.
Clemson now with 5 team fouls, so they still have a foul to give with 50 seconds to go in the half. Duke is over the limit as Allen drives it, and he is bumped, was giving it up. And that foul's going to go against Grantham. Let's see if they call that a foul on the floor since Allen was passing, and they will. So that was still a foul to give for Clemson. No free throws. Kennard can't leave him alone in the corner. That time, a gift for Clemson, though, as Kennard missed.
This group on the floor, you got to get that basketball in the hands of Blossom Game. Try to get him something easy before halftime.
Knocking it down, though, instead is Shadeh. That's his first 2.
Improved 15-foot jump shooter. He couldn't make that shot last year, Bob. Credit to that guy for working on his game over the summer.
Duke can hold for the final shot of the half with a 4-point lead. Thornton, no good. Plenty of time for Clemson to get a look before halftime. And a foul called on Ingram. That did not go well for Duke. And Mike Krzyzewski is letting the officials, specifically James Breeding, hear about it. That's the 3rd foul on Brandon Ingram, and with Duke over the limit, it'll be a 1-and-1.
Yeah, Ingram concerned about Jerron Blossom Game's ability to knock down the 3 at 38%, but that's why you have to use your length, Bob. He's 2-3 inches taller. Give him some space, and if he shoots it, then challenge the shot. That was a tough foul by Brandon Ingram, who had an incredible first half with 15 points in the first half.
Blossom Game, a 72% free throw shooter, and he can make this a 2-point lead at the break for Duke. On top of that, Brandon Ingram now with foul trouble as we move to the second half, as he's got 3. And Blossom Game knocks them both down. 1.6 seconds to go before halftime. Here's Thornton. And they're going to wave that one off. So 3 fouls at halftime for Brandon Ingram, but also 15 points on the board for the freshman, who has been red hot over his last 9 games. We've got a good one, though. 2-point lead for Duke at halftime over Clemson. Back to the studio now. Chris Hassel and Dan Dockich. They've got the Land Rover halftime report. Welcome back to Wednesday Night Hoops, and welcome back to the ACC on ESPN. just about set for the start of the second half. A 2-point lead for Duke at halftime over Clemson. Bob Wischusen, LaFonso Ellis. Is the glass half full or the glass half empty from a Clemson standpoint? They held Grayson Allen down, only 5 points, 1 assist, 2 turnovers in the first half. Or do you look at the glass half empty? You hold the leading scorer for Duke and the second leading scorer in the ACC down, and yet you don't have the lead.
Yeah, the glass is half full in this case because they did a nice job of keeping Grayson Allen out of the lane. The problem is Brandon Ingram started to take it over, using his versatility to shoot the basketball from the outside. And as you can see, folks, he's got a wide lane to work with because they're so concerned, Clemson, about the ability of Duke to knock down three-point shots that they're staying home. Now he recognizes that and he attacks hard, and that's the area of his game that he's grown. He takes the initial bump and can finish over the top. He was spectacular in the first half with 15 points.
Ingram picked up his third foul in the last moments of the first half. So we'll see how that plays into the second half. Now, does he play the type of game where you can isolate him if you're Brad Brownell? You're going to try and call something early to go right at Ingram to see if you can get him to pick up his fourth?
Well, I was going to say the same thing. Is they had a tough time in the first half, Clemson, of getting Blossom Game, their best player, involved in the offense. If Brandon Ingram is guarding Blossom Game on the offensive end, they have to get him the basketball, and I would go right at his chest trying to draw the fourth foul.
Thornton got a three off the feed from Grayson Allen. So that's the second assist for Allen and the second triple for the freshman Derek Thornton. And it's a 5-point Duke lead. And now traveling is called on Jaron Blossom Game. That's the 7th Clemson turnover.
At times you have to make sure that you secure that basketball and stick that pivot foot. Jaron Blossom Game playing a little hurried there, and I'm sure he's thinking, I didn't get enough touches in the first half, couldn't quite get it going, and I need to get going here in the second half. But he's got to settle down, let the game come to him.
Jones to Plumlee, who fumbles it. Good hands by Avery Holmes. Grantham cruises in. Couldn't bank it home.
At 6'8", I think Grantham has to dunk that basketball.
Ingram no good from three.
At times in the first half, Bob, you heard me saying Clemson needs to push that thing after missed shots, and they were able to get some good stuff. Here in the second half, they're playing a little bit too quickly. I like the initial push, but they have to be more intentional about making sure that they attack the rack and not taking bad shots nor turning it over.
Wild shot won't go for Blossom Game, but an easy putback for Landry Noko on the weak side. He has 8.
Landry Noko does that extremely well. When he sees his guy who's guarding him, in this case Plumlee, go and try to block a shot, he runs right to the front of the rim.
Allen's pass deflected by Holmes, stolen by Noko. You talked about how crucial it would be for Clemson to keep Grayson Allen out of the paint, and they've done a really nice job of that so far tonight. Noko at the rim. What a find from Jordan Roper. Double figures for Noko for the 6th time this season. Allen in the post plays catch with Thornton. And now it's Ingram with the shot clock at 10. Jones for 3. Yes! Matt Jones holding off Clemson. It's a 4-point lead again. That's his first bucket.
A terrific three-point shooter at 43% on the year.
Traveling called as Avery Holmes lost his balance.
That's exactly what Matt Jones does. He knocks down a 3 on the offensive end, but Coach K calls him the rock, and then he comes down on the defensive end, sees that Derek Thornton is under duress defensively, gets involved in that, and forces a turnover for his Duke teammates.
Jones fouled by Dante Grantham. That's his second. Well, the story of this game has been Duke's three-point shooting. They are at 9 for 17, already a half a 3 better than their per-game average. They average 8.5 threes per game, 3rd best in the ACC. Of course, you saw Luke Kennard on the bench. When they bring him in, your three-point shooting gets even better.
Yeah.
It's a Duke team that averages over 88 points per game, 4th in the nation in scoring, and you can't score at that level unless you're knocking down threes, and they do in bunches.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you play against this Duke team. You have to pick your poison. Are you going to allow them to dribble, penetrate, and get things at the rim, or are you going to allow them to take open shots? And that's what's been so great about this team is they do both extremely well, and their spacing is absolutely terrific.
Now, in spite of the fact that Duke has made 9 threes and they average 8.5 per game, that's also their 10th turnover, and they only average 10 turnovers per game. So Clemson has put enough pressure on them defensively to get the ball back often enough to stay right in it. But can they defend the three-point line for the rest of this game? Grantham hunting his shot, comes up way short. Here's Ingram on a run out.
And he'll get there, but that's not quite his game right now. He's got to get that basketball moving.
That three won't go for Thornton.
The guy that's been really quiet in this game has been Roper. Jordan Roper, number 20 in white. He's a guy that in the past has been instant offense for this Clemson team. He and Blossom game have to get involved in the offense.
He has 5 assists, but he hasn't scored yet. Holmes for 3. In and out. Offensive rebound for Noko. Blossom game for 3. That won't go. There's Noko again. Now Grantham tries a 2, and it's good. Landry Noko keeping it alive twice, and eventually the 3rd look for Clemson. And the 10th point for Grantham makes it a 2-point game.
Much better rhythm for Dante Grantham on that possession.
How about the work done by Landry Noko?
Those opportunities are available because of how hard Marshall Plumlee comes to the rock.
Grayson Allen draws the foul on Jerron Blossom game. That's his first, but the work done on the offensive glass by Noko. The story.
Noko relentless on the offensive glass, creating additional opportunities for his teammate Dante Grantham in rhythm and knocking it down.
Upsets have been the story so far in college basketball. Who knows, we might get more on Saturday when NC State takes on North Carolina at noon, and then TCU going up against a Kansas team at 2, a Kansas team that lost last night at West Virginia. So those games streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Cat Barber, the only major conference player, averaging 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. When you're putting up numbers like that, you can absolutely get a win against a top 10 team.
Yeah, Cat Barber has done a great job of working on his game. A guy who in the past was a guy who could beat you off the bounce and to the rim. Now he's added a 3-point and a mid-range game to his game. Nearly unstoppable on the offensive end.
Luke Kennard has come back on for Duke for the first time here in the second half. And here he is thinking about a 3. That's deflected out of bounds with 13 to shoot by Jordan Roper. So we've got the number 9 team struggling on the road tonight here at Clemson. Last night, the number 8 team lost when Miami lost at Virginia. The number 3 team lost when Maryland lost at Michigan. And the number 1 team lost when Kansas lost at West Virginia. As now we've got a foul called at midcourt on Gabe DeVoe. That's his second. So 3 top 10 teams lost last night. And we've got a top 10 team right now in a 2-point game here on the road.
Yeah, Kansas not handling the pressure of West Virginia well on the road. Too many turnovers. And West Virginia did a really nice job on the offensive end as well.
Another foul called on DeVoe. Crowd doesn't like it, but he absolutely bumped Luke Kennard up against the sideline, so that's his 3rd.
Got to be aggressive on the denial, but make sure you're not getting body on the guy who's receiving the basketball.
That's the 4th Clemson team foul. Duke has yet to commit a foul in the second half. Allen for 3. Yes! Great trip for Duke. They draw 2 fouls, and Grayson Allen hits a 3 to make the lead 5 once again.
A little double stack diagonal screens away, creating that open look for Grayson Allen.
Noko over Plumlee, way off the mark.
Plumlee did a really nice job on that possession of staying vertical and keeping him in his chest, not allowing Noko to get off the ground to get that hook shot over the top. This time a screen set by Plumlee was illegal. Folks, watch this. A little double diagonal here. And actually, the top part of the diagonal dove at that time and created a little space. And Grayson Allen doesn't need a lot of space nor time to get that shot off. A really efficient jump shot for number 3 in black. How good has he been on the season?
How good is Duke from 3? As you can see, almost 40% as a team so far this season. 53% tonight. That 3 is off the mark, but the back tap ends up with Ingram as Grantham couldn't hit from NBA range.
So many weapons on the floor. Duke going to that 4-out, 1-in look, and it's really created a lot of offense for them. Something that Coach K went to take advantage of his skilled players on the perimeter.
Speaking of which, Ingram missing the finger roll on what was a pretty drive. Roper finds Noko on the roll. He can't bank it home. Back taps it though. Roper bailed out by Grantham. Roper goes at Plumlee. Lost it, found it again. It's got Plumlee caught on a switch. 10 to shoot. Roper underneath. Fouled by Ingram.
Wow.
That's his 4th. With 4 seconds on the shot clock and Jordan Roper underneath the backboard.
And Ingram doing a really nice job of recognizing that his teammate Plumlee's in trouble with the guard out there, but you got to put your foot on that line and stay still. Brandon Ingram picking up a 4th foul. That is huge for Duke.
Well, Mike Krzyzewski talked about the fact that foul trouble could greatly impact his team. Against Wake Forest, they pulled one out of the fire with Grayson Allen and Brandon Ingram both in foul trouble.
See, and this is where you got to get Blossom Game some touches. He'll have a mismatch inside with any of the smaller players on the floor for Clemson, for Duke.
Noko, the jump hook. The putback won't go at point-blank range for Jerron Blossom Game.
Bob, again here in the second half, Clemson's getting some clean looks at the basket and just can't knock them down. Got to be able to make them against one of the top teams in the country.
Kennard allows the flyby. In and out for 3. Tapped out of bounds, and it's out off of Marshall Plumlee.
And Bob, against many teams, Brandon Ingram going out at this point with 4 fouls would be a devastating loss for Duke. But as you can see with this Clemson team, they don't really have a huge front line. Jerron Blossom Game is really around 6'6", 6'7", and so you can actually slide one of your best perimeter defenders in a guy like Matt Jones down to guard Blossom Game inside. But let's see if Clemson will be willing to move the basketball around a little bit and see if they can get Blossom Game a post-up inside.
Noko, this time with the left hand. That won't go.
And Bob, the story in the second half for Clemson has just been missed opportunities from point-blank range.
Well, every shot for Noko comes right at the front of the rim, and he is only 5 of 11 from the field. And a foul called. That will go against Plumlee. So we'll step aside. Clemson ball when we return. That's Plumlee's 3rd. A sad day for all of us at ESPN, as one of the pillars of the opening days of ESPN passed away when Jim Simpson. We lose him at the age of 88 after a short illness. He passed away in Scottsdale, surrounded by his family. And if you were an early viewer of ESPN starting in 1979 at the launch of the network, if you turned on ESPN, you heard Jim Simpson. I mean, he was, for someone certainly my age, who grew up dreaming of being a broadcaster, a piece of your childhood passed away, because Jim Simpson for ESPN would call college football, college basketball, college baseball, tennis, including the Davis Cup, USFL, boxing, horse racing, golf, the Olympic Festival. I mean, he anchored SportsCenter. He literally did a little bit of everything that ESPN had to offer. And we lose one of the legends of our business, so our condolences and all of our best thoughts and prayers to Jim Simpson's family on the passing of someone who you grew up as just part of your DNA as a sports fan to click on ESPN and you would hear Jim Simpson doing literally everything that we had to offer.
Essentially a pioneer. He will be missed.
Foul called on Clemson before they could inbound the basketball. Landry Noko sets an illegal screen as Clemson was trying to get the ball inbounded down 5.
Bob, you know it's amazing that we've gone all throughout this game and Duke has yet to shoot a free throw.
Thornton hits a 3. They have more than made up for their lack of production at the free throw line with their work behind the arc.
And that's a shot that Coach Brad Brownell has been willing to give up to Derek Thornton because they didn't want Allen to get off to a quick start in this game. And you got to credit the freshman. He stepped up and made some big threes here for Duke.
33 of Duke's 46 have come from behind the arc. They've made 11 threes. They've only scored 13 points inside the arc. And now leading in and drawing a foul is Avery Holmes. That's Grayson Allen. That's his first.
Yeah, and folks, and on this dribble drive, this is what they worked on in shoot-around Clemson, is to take away the drive from Grayson Allen and to help in off Thornton. And that was a gamble that Coach Brownell was willing to take. And credit Derek Thornton. This kid has really stepped up and knocked down those three-point shots, and that's partly why Duke is up right now, 7 on the road.
Dante Grantham comes back on as what you would have to think would be a very brief rest for Jerron Blossom game. If you're going to come back against Duke, you need your leading scorer on the floor. Blossom game only 1 of 8 from the field and 6 points.
And Bob, every shot that he's taken has been a contested shot in some form. And they tried to post him up against smaller guys, but Plumlee, knowing that Landry Noko's not going to take that 15-foot shot, has clogged up the lane. What a
strong drive.
Allen.
Grayson Allen with a chance for a three-point play as he is about to shoot the first free throw of the night for Duke.
Watch how hard he comes off of that turn and the ability to be able to take contact and finish through, folks. Number 10, Gabe DeVoe, is huge. 6'3", 205. Didn't impact Grayson Allen at all. Strong finish around the rim for number 3 in black.
That's 4 fouls on Gabe DeVoe. So Brandon Ingram on the Duke bench with 4. Now DeVoe has to sit down for Clemson with 4. And Allen can't complete the three-point play. Duke this season has made more free throws than their opponents have attempted. They're top 10 in the country in attempts and mades, but that was their first free throw attempt of this game. Blossom game, tough shot, draws the foul. He'll go back to the line.
But we've been waiting for Clemson to be more intentional about getting it inside to Blossom game. He's had mismatches inside with some of the smaller guards having switched off on him on the inside, and they have not been intentional about getting him to rock inside. And a guy who can not only score, but he can get to the foul line as well.
Chase Jeter set to come back in for Duke as he will replace Marshall Plumlee, who now has 4. So Plumlee and Ingram both on the bench with 4 fouls with 10.5 minutes to go.
They don't have a lot of depth over there without Emil Jefferson healthy, and so...
Well, you lose Emil Jefferson to go along with the fact that there's no more Quinn Cook, there's no more Tyus Jones, Jaleel Okafor, Justice Winslow. That's an amazing amount of talent for this team to lose, and yet with players that really last season played bit roles for them in Allen and Jones and Marshall Plumlee, and they're still a top 10 team. Kennard leans in, comes up short, tapped around. Who's got it? It looks like a foul will be called. And if that's against Jeter, that's going to be his 4th. So now Chase Jeter, barely in the game for Plumlee, also has 4.
Yeah, I think you still have to leave him in the game because you can ill afford to have Brandon Ingram pick up his 5th with 10 minutes to go in the game. And I'd keep Plumlee over there on the sideline as well because you want those guys to be able to finish out the game. What looks like it's going to be a nail biter down the stretch.
Another foul call. This one will go against Matt Jones. That's his 3rd.
Yeah, Matt Jones, the veteran, knows better in that case because now you're putting Clemson on the line, 1-and-1 situation here.
So Duke went from no fouls 5 minutes into the second half to 7 fouls midway through the second half. And it'll be a 1-and-1 for Jaron Blossomgame.
And for a guy who's had a tough time shooting the rock at 1 of 8 from the field, you only give Jaron Blossomgame opportunities to get free looks at the rim because that'll just raise his confidence. And Bob, you know how that is with a shooter who's not shot it well. When they can see it go through the net, sometimes that can get them off to a great start. And let's see if that'll be the case for Blossomgame.
Blossomgame has 10. He's made 1 field goal. He is 8 for 8 at the line. And it's a 4-point game, and I think the crowd now realizes with Ingram and Plumlee both on the bench, Jones trying a 3. That's in and out. This might be Clemson's chance. Out of bounds. Off of who? It will stay with Duke.
That was shielded there by the official. Couldn't quite see on the inside. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it's off of Roper. That's a good call by the baseline official. Right off of his knee.
That's a foul on Blossomgame. A hold before Duke was able to inbound the ball, and that is now 17 fouls on Clemson. So now we'll shoot free throws the rest of the way. It's interesting how dependent both of these teams can be on shooting free throws and what role it might play down the stretch. Again, we talked about it. Duke came into tonight number 10 in America with 448 attempts, and number 5 in America with 327 makes. Weaving his way to the bucket is Grantham, and he'll have a chance for a 3-point play.
And Bob, time and time again tonight, I talked about the early push from Clemson and what it creates on the offensive end against a Duke team sometimes that doesn't get back loaded up to the basketball. Dante Grantham doing a terrific job of jumping through, perfect angle on the glass, an opportunity for a 3-point play here.
That fouls out Chase Jeter. So Jeter's done. Plumlee has to come back in with 4. Brandon Ingram will stay on the bench for Mike Krzyzewski with 4. And again, back to free throws. Clemson made 32 free throws to Louisville's 11 in their win over the Cardinals on Sunday. So they basically won their game at the line. And now it's a 1-point game. How important free throws might be for both teams in the last 9.5 minutes. And it looks like a timeout will be called by Mike Krzyzewski. A 1-point game with 9.5 minutes to go here in Greenville. Clemson down 1 to Duke here at home with 9.5 minutes to go. Bob Wischusen and LaFonso Ellis as Clemson coming off of their win against Louisville on Sunday. If they were to win tonight against Duke, it would be the first time since they closed the 1989 regular season with their last 2 wins against Duke and Georgia Tech that they would be victorious in back-to-back games against ranked teams. And they haven't beaten a top 10 team since they beat Duke back in February of 2009. Clemson has lost 18 consecutive games to top 10 teams.
Duke has brought Brandon Ingram back in this game, and Brandon Ingram and Marshall Plumlee, folks, both have 4 fouls.
Kennard left alone at the free throw line, and that is a very, very good shooter to give room from only 15 feet.
Yeah, Landry Noko, a little momentary indecision, leaving Kennard an outstanding shooter.
The lob, unable to finish, was Blossomgame on the catch as Duke fell asleep zone-wise, and Blossomgame went back door.
Well, that was a great quick read against that 1-3-1 zone. That's exactly what Clemson worked on today in the shoot-around.
Kennard, nice head fake, gets in the lane, can't bank it home. Noko's got the rebound. Will Duke stay in that zone to try and protect Ingram and Plumlee?
It's exactly what they're trying to do. I thought they'd go to the 2-3 to take away some of the gaps, but they've decided to go with this 1-3-1, which they've used at times throughout this year so far.
What does it tell you about the athleticism of Ingram that he's the top of the 1-3-1?
Well, usually you want your longest athletic guy out there in the front, and so that's a good move by Coach K.
That 3 goes down. Dante Grantham ties it up with 8:15 to go.
Bob, that's what we talked about in the first half. My concern for Duke when they go to zone is they open up opportunities for Clemson to hit threes, and that's exactly what happened on that last possession.
Well, Allen couldn't hit one, and Plumlee ends up at the offensive rebound to keep it alive for Duke. Kennard lost it, stripped away. Jordan Roper has it for Clemson. A chance for the Tigers to take the lead.
Look for the skip passes. You get open looks.
Knocking it down from the corner is Blossom Game. Clemson has the lead for the first time since we were 2 minutes in. Grayson Allen gives it up to Plumlee. What a play by Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen on the dribble drive picked up no code, knowing that Plumlee was open on the other side. Nice little dish underneath him. Plumlee continues to finish with authority. And folks, that lob is available on the baseline if the back part of that defense falls asleep.
Roper, mid-range jumper, in, out, and right back in again. That's the first field goal for Jordan Roper.
Patience, dribble drive, skip passes are what's available against that 1-3-1 zone.
Grayson Allen on the drive again, and he throws it down. This has become a duel with Clemson on top by one. Coming up on 6 minutes to go.
Now they're back in the 2-3 zone.
Noko wraps one around Plumlee, and Blossom Game gets the layup.
What a beautiful seal inside by Landry Noko, creating that open opportunity. A nice little dish underneath as well. This is Grayson Allen time. He is fearless on the offensive end.
A foul called on the cut against Avery Holmes. It is a duel, and it begins with Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen attacking off the baseline, throwing it down. And how about Blossom Game after a big three? A little deuce inside.
Terrific game here in Greenville, and who knows what might happen. A Tobacco Road rivalry between NC State and North Carolina kicks off Saturday basketball at noon, followed right up by a good one of the Big 12 between TCU and #1 Kansas. Perry Ellis leads the Jayhawks against TCU. Both games streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. As we take a look at the top 7 in the ACC, there is Duke right there with Clemson. Clemson lost their opener, but they have bounced back to win their next 3 consecutive games against Florida State, winning at Syracuse in overtime, and then Sunday a 4-point win over number 16 Louisville. And now they've got Duke on the ropes with 5:39 to go. So what a week this could be for Clemson basketball if they could, for the first time since 1989, win back-to-back games against ranked teams. You can see tonight Duke has spent no time at the line. They normally live at the free throw line. Here's Ingram. Papashoes and LaFonso Ellis. And Fonz, we've got a 2-point game. And what do you think's going through Brad Brownell's head right now? Defensively especially.
Yeah.
Do they continue to try and double-team Grayson Allen? They paid the price at times when that's happened.
Yeah, they wanted to keep this Duke team out of the paint. They've been able to do that and forcing them to take perimeter jump shots, which they've knocked down. But Brad Brownell has to be pleased with the fact that they've not been able to get to the foul line, because that's what happens with Duke. You have to pick your poison. Do you allow them to get dribble penetration, which leads to kicks and 3-point shots? They've done a really nice job of staying at home, and Jerron Blossom Game has been terrific here in the second half.
Roper barely draws iron from 3, and Plumlee the uncontested rebound. So now a chance for Duke to tie or take the lead again.
Well, Clemson had started this half 3 of 15 from the field, but 5 of 6 since. And they've gotten some big baskets from Blossom Game and a big one from Roper as well.
Kennard gives it up to Plumlee. That's no good. Blocked inside.
I thought Plumlee was fouled there by number 12, Avery Holmes. I thought he grabbed his arm, prevented him from catching that basketball cleanly. Little 3-2 zone here. Soft spot is the ACC short corners.
Grantham for three. Long rebound. Hauled in by Ingram.
Couldn't ask for a better shot than that. Little skip pass, little touch the paint area, and a little kick. Dante Grantham slapping his hands in frustration, not being able to knock that open one down.
Allen to Jones. In and out for three. Another good look for Matt Jones.
You can also screen the interior of that zone to try to get you some opportunities as well.
Avery Holmes. His pass deflected, able to tap it to Blossom Game in the corner. And a reset for Clemson, 10 to shoot. Roper uses the screen for three. Yes!
Grayson Allen, Brandon Ingram have to lead this team offensively.
Ingram has it rejected inside by Noko. At the other end, Holmes, too strong, but the follow is on time. The largest Clemson lead up to 7, coming up on 3 minutes to go. Allen shovels a pass off. Plumlee. That's blocked by Noko. This time a foul call.
This is Clemson Tiger basketball. Defense leading the offense. The early charge, the challenge. No one picks up Roper. Big shot down the stretch for the senior.
Chris Hassel with Dan Dockich in studio. We've got LSU and Ole Miss coming up next. Dockich says, hey, prepare for the game, Ben Simmons.
Get ready for the game. Quit messing around.
Got the camera going. Well, it's our camera. We'll sell it on eBay.
All right, guys, I would say the players in our game more than prepared for tonight, as Clemson has brought a level of intensity here in the second half that has turned the game around. You just saw Landry Noko as Plumlee goes to the free throw line and misses. Noko is second best in the ACC, averaging 2.3 blocks per game. He has 4 of Clemson's 7 block shots.
And that's really been the story here late, is they had 2 block shots in the first half, 5 here in the second, and they've been able to push it in transition. And if they haven't been able to make it right away, they've been able to get to the offensive glass. And that and the 3-point shot here in the second half has really been the story.
These are the 2 best shot blocking teams in the ACC. Duke is number 1 at 5.9 per game, and there is a swat by Plumlee.
Got to make that wraparound pass. Noko's wide open on the other side.
Kennard plays catch with Allen, and Allen knocks down a 3 from the corner. Cuts the lead in half. It's down to 3, and a timeout called by Mike Krzyzewski.
What an unselfish extra pass made by Kennard. He has the ability to make the long shot. He had it there, but decided to be unselfish as Roper came to him, leaving too much room for Grayson Allen to get that 3-point shot off. You give Grayson Allen that much time, that much room, he will kill you as he did on that play.
Well, tonight after Heat Clippers stay on the left coast, Stan and Steve at Sports Center at night, live from LA. They'll have all the highlights from college basketball, the NHL, a busy night in the NBA. It's your last call for sports. Sports Center at night tips off after Heat Clippers on ESPN. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app.
How fun are those 2 guys late at night? They kept me from getting some sleep on many a nights. No full court pressure here for Duke. It'll be interesting to see if they drop back to zone or if they'll stay in man.
What would you do?
with Marshall Plumlee and Brandon Ingram in foul trouble, 2:15 to go with a thin bench. I would start out a little man, but mix it up as we go. They're concerned about Clemson's ability to make three-point. Wow, a big turnover. Good, quick hands by Kennard.
Avery Holmes with a carry. And now it goes back over to Duke, down 3. A little over 2 minutes to go.
Wow, Holmes coming up the floor. Kennard just jabbed at him, and the little exchange, crossing it over, bounced it off his knee. Costly turnover there for Clemson.
He carried it and lost it over the midcourt line. Kennard leans in. That's taken away by Grantham. Roper with a crossover. Gives it up to Noko, but he has his pocket picked by Matt Jones. Jones leans in. Off the glass. Score the bucket. And a chance for Matt Jones to tie the game at the line.
Mike Krzyzewski calls Jones the Rock. And when you need big plays defensively or offensively, he delivers time and time again. Caught Landry Noko not getting straight vertical, drawing the contact, putting it on the glass and in. Matt Jones making his stamp on this game.
Brad Brownell calls a timeout, as now he has his own front court foul trouble to worry about. That's the 4th foul on Landry Noko. So you think now about how many different ways this game could go down the stretch. What happens if we go to overtime? You already have Chase Jeter out. You've got Marshall Plumlee with 4 fouls. You've got Ingram with 4 fouls. That's on the Duke side. Now you've got Noko with 4 fouls on the Clemson side. How would you play this last minute 45 or so from both coaches' standpoint?
Well, again, the concern for Duke, if you play a little zone, Clemson all of a sudden is heated up from the three-point line, and so you got to stick them and play man. Now you got to play contain. No easy fouls to allow Clemson to get on the line. And for Clemson, have to continue to play the way they have. They've done a tremendous job here in their second half on dribble penetration of coming to give help. And so you just have to play it straight up. I wouldn't go zone here because you're too liable to get hit by a 3. Clemson's been hot and Duke has been hot. Clemson's been hot in the second half here. Duke's been hot all night long from the three-point line. So I think man for both teams as we get down the stretch.
Jones can't complete the three-point play. A 75% free throw shooter leaves one at the line.
Duke here and man. The ball screen by Noko and the dive has created some nice opportunities on the offensive end for Clemson. Blossom Game's got a little mismatch down low. He might be able to take him one-on-one.
Shot clock to 5. Muscles his way into the lane. Noko, another offensive rebound. A fresh 30 for Clemson with a 1-point lead.
Yeah, with a 1-point lead, you want to run some clock here. I wouldn't shoot the basketball until I was under 10, especially with how well Noko has been able to get to the offensive glass.
Noko cutting down the lane. Bowls a man over and scores. Jones tried to draw the charge. No call. And it's a 3-point lead for Clemson again. A double-double added to by Noko.
I think you got to get the basketball in the hands of Grayson Allen. Get a little ball screen, let him go to work. Mismatch here for Ingram.
Allen on the drive with the left hand as smooth as could be. And the lead down to 1. 17 for Grayson Allen.
His first step is long and quick, which creates the separation for him to get to the rim. Nicely done by Grayson Allen. Even if they run the clock down, there's about a 5-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock.
Roper gives it up. Oh! And throws it down. 13 seconds to go. Duke still has a timeout. Brad Brownell wants to call it from the Clemson bench, and he will.
Did you see how high Blossom Game was?
As a matter of fact, we're about to see it again.
Goodness. Wow. Roper doing a really nice job again of drawing Plumlee there. He goes away from John Blossom Game, and he shows a little elevation levitation. Clemson bench is loving it.
All right, now you're Brad Brownell. 13 seconds to go. We had this conversation last week at the close of the Louisville-NC State game. Similar situation with 13 seconds on the clock tonight. Do you foul if you're Clemson If so, at what point in the clock do you foul, rather than letting a Duke team that's made 11 threes tonight get a 3 off before the buzzer?
And remember my criteria, Bob, in last week's game, I said I trust my defense. Louisville being one of the most efficient defenses in the nation. Tonight, Duke shoots the basketball too well from the three-point line. I would switch it all, and I would foul, if I can, with under 6 seconds to go, because I don't want Duke being able to get off a three-point shot, especially in a mismatch situation with one of my bigs potentially fouling one of their three-point shooters and having a three-point shot and an and one, and not have enough time to get a shot off on the offensive end.
If you try and play the clock and the foul game, though, and you're Brad Brownell, do you worry about one of your players making the mental error of possibly fouling a three-point shooter in the act, rather than just grabbing them near midcourt and taking all mystery out of whether or not a shooter is shooting the basketball?
Yeah, and you see what he's doing. He's putting a little full-court pressure on, trying to get some time off of the clock here.
Well, here we go.
And so again, around 6 seconds, I would not let them get a 3 off, so they switched it there.
Thornton to the corner. Jones for 3. Air ball. Grayson Allen throws down Avery Holmes. And Pat Driscoll jumps in between to make sure that no tempers flare. 1.8 seconds to go. And Holmes, it might be a little too early to celebrate. That's what the Clemson players are doing right now.
Brad Brownell rolled the dice on that one, because Matt Jones is a 43% three-point shooter. The Rock, and a junior who's been in those situations before, shoots an air ball.
That was the 19th foul, so this is still a 1-and-1 for Avery Holmes. If he misses with 1.8 seconds to go, Duke might have time to get at least out to midcourt to try to tie the game.
Well, this is where it would be so nice for the NCAA to adopt the NBA rule, where you can advance the basketball, creates a little bit more drama for the fans.
Now maybe Clemson could celebrate. Brad Brownell wants all his guys off the lane, as the Tigers now have a 4-point lead with 1.8 to go. What a second half for Clemson. They win it by 5. And for the first time since 1989, the Tigers have taken down back-to-back ranked teams.
What an excellent effort by Clemson. Able to knock down some big threes, get on the offensive glass, but I thought their defensive effort was what won them this game. 5 block shots here in the second half, and they were able to get out in transition and get some easy ones, keeping this Duke team off balance. Well done by the Clemson Tigers.
It felt like here in the building, at least for a brief period of time, maybe even just the first half, there was a little football hangover as these Clemson Tiger fans still upset about the college football playoff national championship game. Well, a win over Duke, that certainly got them excited. 5-point win for Clemson over Duke. For LaFonso Ellis, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Greenville.